Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 11th anniversary Illinois Legislative Latino Caucus Foundation Conference. I am Michael Gonzalez, Vice Chairman of the Foundation. I am delighted that you chose to join us and attend our conference. The Foundation has planned a conference that will be the best ever. And by the end of the day, I know you'll agree that you've learned a lot and you helped us celebrate Latino achievements, and that you'll be energized to work even more success for our Illinois Latino community in the future. Actually, I wanted to quote you something. It's actually in reference to President John Kennedy, and I know you probably have noticed a lot of coverage in the news. And we might know him from our memory of, ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. And I have a quote. It says, and I appreciate this one a lot, "We shall pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, oppose any foe, to assure the survival of liberty." And I thought that was a really nice part of his inaugural address. And that's relevant because 50 years ago, today, and it was a Friday, and for those of us that are a little bit more mature, and I know we have a young audience with us today, you guys might not have been around, many of you, but some of us kind of remember, and we'll remember exactly where we were that morning. And so it's kind of ironic that today that it's exactly 50 years later, and we're going to be acknowledging that throughout the day. And so we thank you for your participation. At this time, I'm very pleased to introduce you to our co-chairs, our ringleaders, Senator Iris Martinez and Representative Cynthia Soto. Please give them a round of applause.
Thank you, Michael. Wow, it's always great to come back year after year and just see that, our conference keeps growing and growing and growing. Thank you, Michael. On behalf of all the members of the Illinois Legislative Latino Caucus Foundation, welcome to our 11th annual conference. In 2002, Latino members of the Illinois legislature, as well as other leaders in our community, convened to create an organization with three main purposes: to develop through the Illinois Latino Public Policy Institute a new generation of informed, skilled, effective Latino leaders who will help shape public policy. Two, to provide college scholarships for outstanding Latino men and women who are pursuing their educational goals. And finally, to empower Illinois Latinos by increasing understanding of and access to federal, state, and community programs in areas such as employment, immigration, health and human service, education, business, and development of civic leaders. As you will discover today, our annual conference helps to realize all three of these purposes of the ILLCF. As Michael has already noted, this day, November 22nd, 2013, is exactly 50 years since President Kennedy was assassinated. Throughout the day, you are likely to hear keynote speakers, panelists, and others refer to the legacy of John F. Kennedy. Much has transpired since 1963, but we still hold to a belief that America will realize new frontiers that carries on the hopes that he had for our country. Again, I just want to say thank you for your participation. We look forward to a great day, because I know it's going to be a great day. Just looking in the room today, I know that we have succeeded as far as making sure that there's interest out there that brings you here today. So I just want to, we're going to be around if you need anything. My co-chair and myself will be here to answer any questions as the day goes on. But, enjoy this day, soak up that information that is going to be out there in the workshops. I think we have fabulous panelists, we have fabulous speakers, and I think, you're going to see that this is going to be a great day for us here today. So now I would like to introduce my fellow co-chair of the Latino Caucus, and that is my good friend, State Representative Cynthia Soto. Here, para que lo aguantes, so you can hold it.
Thank you, honey. Hello, everybody. Good morning. Can I hear that a little bit louder so I know that everybody's up? I want to thank you again for being here today. I really would like to take this opportunity to emphasize that the goal of this conference today is not just to address serious critical issues of importance to Latinos, but it is also a celebration of the creativity, aspirations, and successes of the Illinois Latino community. For example, throughout the day, several of the Latinos who are here are studying art in Illinois colleges and universities. Will share their work here at the conference. Please take time to visit the exhibits as you have time to admire their work. I've been out there, so I was admiring their work. Great stuff out there, great pieces out there to look at. Also, at noon, we will recognize several people who have done explanatory work on behalf of the Latino community over the years. And we will also honor 25 outstanding college students who have won this year's 2013 Illinois Legislative Latino Caucus Foundation College Scholarships. Isn't that great? Finally, we are all invited to a reception at the end of the day when we hope to have an opportunity to meet and talk with you in a casual setting. So I'm looking forward to doing that this evening, and we do that every year, and it's a great networking opportunity to get to know each other a little bit closer. Now, I would like to say it is now my great honor to introduce to you our keynote speaker, Maria Wynne. She is the CEO of the largest Girl Scout Council in the world, and I mean in the world, Latina. The Girl Scouts of Greater Chicago and Northwest Indiana, when we planned our conference for this year, we knew that Maria would be a great person to give a keynote address. A recipient of numerous awards and recognitions, she focuses her considerable talents on preparing girls as global citizens and leaders. Her topic this morning is Unlocking the Latino Factor. Please welcome Maria Wynne. Will you stand and join us? Thank you. Oh, we got to be louder than that. Come on. Latina, CEO of the Girl Scouts of America. Thank you. Thank you, Maria. Thank you for being here. Oh, it's such an honor.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Buenos días. Más duro. Buenos días. Buenos días. Good morning. Thank you for inviting me. And Cynthia, thank you so much for your introduction. It's a pleasure to be here today to celebrate the potential of La Presencia Latina and the great impact it can have on this nation. As a young girl growing up in Bogotá, Colombia, my family gave me a great gift. They gave me a gift, a view of a world without limitations, permission to explore, to dream, and to ponder on potential. My abuelito, Leopoldo Lascarro, a self-made, very bright man with a grammar school education, was visionary. He was a man of high intellect. He was self-taught. He always valued education and self-educated. He rose to the director of the budget for the country of Colombia. He was not a political man. His integrity was his signature. He had the courage to speak the truth and as a result, was able to serve the highest levels of government without compromising his values or his honesty. When I think of him, I think of potential that was truly allowed to be unlocked. My father, Mike Wynne, his son-in-law, the first in his family to go to college, and my mother, Tulita, have always believed in potential and have encouraged me always to dream big and to help others, to give back. In contrast to my opportunities, my grandmothers, mis abuelitas, both very bright, were women who were limited by the tenor and expectation of the times. They had huge potential. They had an ability that remained unlocked. But The world without limits that I was exposed to inspired me to pursue things I never imagined I could dream of. Today, as Chief Executive Officer of the Girl Scouts of Greater Chicago and Northwest Indiana, I am a passionate advocate on behalf of all girls, especially those who share my proud Hispanic heritage. And I stand here today to call us all in this room to action, to unlock the potential of our Latinas as Hispanics become a majority in the United States. Yes! So why do I focus on Latinas? Because it is my belief that when we unlock the potential of a girl, of a woman, we set in motion a lasting generational impact. Thank you. The future of our generations rests on how good a job we do today at unlocking the potential that rests in our young Hispanics, especially the girls who will be raising the future Latinos. Children are messages that we send into the future. So what do we want those messages to say? What do we want those messages to be? Those of us in this room today share in the desire and in the obligation to advocate for the future of Hispanics as a whole and of Latinas as the exponential factor in driving Hispanic impact. Driving greater change and removing barriers from the path of leadership and influence in this remarkable and increasingly diverse country of ours will unlock La Presencia Latina as an engine for the economic future of the United States. Together, we can unlock that potential. I believe that the keys to unleashing the full potential of La Presencia Latina rest with economic presence. La presencia económica. That speaks volumes. La presencia económica of our Hispanic population is not just about the numbers of population. It is more importantly about the numbers of educated Latinos, the numbers, thank you, the numbers of children that start early getting their education, the ascendancy to careers and jobs that afford a competitive wage and make economic impact, and as important, Hispanic representation in government to ensure advocacy in policymaking and equity. We must have Hispanics reach seats in boardrooms where the U.S. and the global economy is driven. And we have to have Hispanics representing our voices in the highest levels of our government in order to unleash the full potential of Hispanics and to make La Presencia Latina count. So let's take a look at some of the areas that I believe are key in unlocking the Latina factor. In August of 2013, global information and measurement company Nielsen, the ratings people, published Latina Power Shift, a report that highlights the increasingly significant role of Hispanic women in driving our economic condition by focusing on their growing purchasing power and consumption trends. According to this report, the Nielsen report, the projected buying power of Hispanics is expected to reach $1.5 trillion in just the next 2 years. So that economic power, that $1.5 trillion by 2015, makes us an important group for marketers to understand, especially considering that women are leading the growth of this vital market, this vital segment. The buying power of today's Latinas ensures that we are key drivers of economic influence. The old saying, there is power in numbers, could not be more true, especially when driving economic power. According to Nielsen, Latinas are becoming the growth engine of females in the United States. We are expected to comprise 30% of the total female population by 2060. Contributing to the change of the nuclear family model, almost a quarter of all U.S. births in 2011 were to a Latina mom. And nearly 63% of Hispanic families having children under the age of 18 is something that perhaps we want to change, because we are currently almost 20% higher than non-Hispanic white females in bringing children into this world. Latinas are converting conventional roles by increasingly becoming the primary income earners, changing the face of Hispanic households from traditionally male-dominated family units and assuming roles as the main or joint decision makers in every category, from purchasing groceries, insurance, financial services, electronics, and family care. Nielsen's Latina Power Shift also reveals the following. 86% of Latinas say a woman is the primary shopper in their households, controlling the majority of the current 1.2 trillion Hispanic buying power. That's a lot of money. 73% of Hispanic high school female graduates are enrolling in college. They're doing that more than Hispanic males and slightly more than their non-Hispanic females. The percentage of households with Latinas who are 18 and older with an annual income of 75% or more has increased 5 points in the past 10 years. And on a good note, households with an income of 25% or more has declined 6 points. So we're kind of coming up a bit. By attaining higher incomes, Latinas inevitably hold a growing share of economic and political influence. Corporations are finally noticing that unlocking and understanding the Latina consumer and her habits and product loyalty is vital to a more robust business strategy that holds the potential for increased market growth and profitability. And while it's encouraging that companies are noticing Latinas as economic influencers, the number of Latinas, and even women in general, who hold positions of leadership in those same companies is still too few. A 2012 report by McKinsey & Company called Unlocking the Full Potential of Women at Work takes an in-depth look at 60 leading companies, including Adobe, Aon, Baxter, Caterpillar, Chrysler, Coca-Cola, Ford, General Motors, Whirlpool, a whole host. These are just a few. Working on the premise that diverse leadership generates stronger business results, McKinsey & Company analyzed whether these 60 companies were unlocking the full potential of women at work. And they looked past the aggregated statistics to understand whether the pipelines and gender diversity practices enacted by these corporations were reflective of a more concentrated and deliberate effort to identify, recruit, and foster more women in leadership levels. They found that women are entering the workforce in large numbers at entry-level positions, yet leaks and blocks in the pipeline efforts are inhibiting greater growth after women reach mid-level management roles. Nearly 140,000 women have already made it to the mid-level management level of these companies, while only about 7,000 out of 140,000 become vice presidents, senior vice presidents, or members of the C-suite. So, just as marketers understand that a growing percentage of the population is comprised of Hispanics who yield influence, particularly Latinas, companies are also beginning to understand that having a workforce that better matches customer demographics is vital. It just makes common sense. Stubborn barriers persist that prevent the advancement of women to higher levels of leadership. Those barriers sometimes include structural obstacles, lifestyle choices, institutional mindsets, and individual mindsets. The McKinsey report pointed out a very important element. Seeing is believing. What they mean by that is that if middle management women see few women in top leadership, they have a diminished sense of being able to reach the C-suite. They must see women in the C-suite. They must see women in VP level roles. The study also found that along with hiring, retaining, and promoting women, mentoring and role modeling, seeing examples makes a big difference. So as we think about workforce, we recognize the impact of mentoring and role modeling for women, and especially Latinas aspiring for more. As much as it is great to have this study help us understand the needs of the adult workforce, I have a secret to share with you. We have to start early. Unlocking Latina potential starts with our young girls, our niñas. We cannot wait until she is a quinceañera. By then, it's too late. If we are to have a workforce where Latinas are recognized as a significant segment, we have to ensure that our young girls are prepared for the 21st century work economy and that they are equipped with soft skills, armed with self-esteem, and build on the values we hold as a Hispanic culture. I know from my Girl Scout experience that early exposure to the world ahead makes a huge difference. If we look ahead to the year 2020, to the year 2040, the careers that will hold center stage have at the heart of them science, technology, engineering, and math, commonly referred to as STEM. These are the core set of skills necessary to enter the promising, high-paying, lucrative segments of the workforce that will be available in the 21st century. So, how do we intervene to ensure girls begin to step out and dare to pursue what have been traditionally male bastions? Again, we start early. At the Girl Scouts, we start very early, building girls that have courage, confidence, and character who will make the world a better place. We start with a girl at the age of 5, and we stay with a girl until she's 17. During that time, we help her with the involvement of her parents and adult volunteers to discover the world around her, to connect with her interests and with others, and we encourage her to take action. While formal schooling is critical, the value of out-of-school time cannot be underestimated. I use the Girl Scouts as an example because it works. We see a difference. But there are also many others who make a difference. Involvement in out-of-school activities, adult mentoring and coaching is critical. That is a message that must reach our Latino parents. We have to have involved parents and engaged parents in helping to raise this generation. Out-of-school time is important, and it is a way for a parent to become fully engaged in their child's education and in their child's formation. When some of us newly arrive in this country, as I did, we seek out to integrate, to become part of this new country. We want to belong. Our kids seek that. So let's help them. Let's help them by steering them to where the community-based organizations that will help them to acculturate socially and at the same time provide them with broadening experiences. Girl Scouts is one of many out of the school organizations, out of school organizations that does that. Boy Scouts does that. Boys and Girls Clubs, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, and Junior Achievement, and many others all offer venues for our youth to connect with their passions. We need to make sure our Hispanic parents know about these organizations. Some of them may not know about them because they're new to this country. These organizations are the parents' partners. They are the school's partners. They are the community partners, and they help to unlock the potential of our boys and girls because it does take a village. I came to lead the Girl Scouts inspired by possibility and potential. I knew that I could use my own leadership skills to impart that same gift of self-empowerment that my parents gave to me and share it with girls from every race, level of income, and ability. Growing up, I was fortunate enough to see female relatives, my aunts, in strong roles and living in interesting, non-traditional careers like biochemistry and the arts. One of my aunts was an opera singer. Each one of these women defied the social expectations of the day, and they opened my eyes to the idea that I could do anything in the world that I wanted to be. Remember what I said about the McKinsey study. If you see it, you can believe it. Ver es creer. So as we develop our young Latinas, we need to expose them to role models and women of achievement who serve as the inspiration for the next generation of women leaders. And in the sciences, in the STEM areas, we need Hispanic men and women to serve as role models, encouraging young girls to dare to learn, to be happy to know that they're smart at math. It should be something that they're proud of, and to enjoy the wonder of science, technology, engineering, and math as a gift, as something that is theirs to own. The youth serving organizations I mentioned earlier also do something else. They raise the awareness of the child as an involved citizen. The Girl Scouts, as an example, encourage girls to take action in their communities and serve as early as the age of 5. 10% of all Girl Scouts nationwide pursue the highest honor in Girl Scouts. It's called the Gold Award. The Gold Award's signature is to have a girl exercise her leadership and make sustainable impact in a community where she lives, leaving her own legacy. It is tough to attain. It is really stringent. But we have had Girl Scouts, change laws, create community centers, educate their high schools on our government system, lead programs for veterans, and programs to care for our men and women who are serving overseas. The Boy Scouts are renowned for their Eagle Scout Award. Today, more than ever, our youth and our millennials are looking and demanding all of us to give back, to have a higher awareness of how to impact the environment, global health, and sustainable efforts. We have a perfect opportunity with this generation to make the same call to action President Kennedy issued more than 50 years ago. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Our young Latinas have to understand that public service is a noble field of endeavor, that it is important, and if they are moved to do so, it is a calling they have to follow. They can make a difference. While democracy is a privilege, it also comes with the obligation of involved citizenship. According to Cristina Bejarano, PhD and author of The Latina Advantage, Gender, Race, and Political Success, the 113th U.S. Congress includes 98 women, or 18%, of the 535 seats. This includes 30 racial, ethnic minority women, or about 31% of the female delegation. The female delegation includes 14 African Americans, 7 Asian Pacific Islanders, and 9 Latinas. That means we have 10% of the 98 seats. And 10% of the 98 seats is great, but it is not enough. I say a population that is growing to majority numbers has to have more presence. There is room for Latinas in Congress. Our young men and women need to see that potential and need to be mentored to believe they can rise to the heights of service in Congress. Today, there are also 1,788 women serving in U.S. state legislatures, which is about 24% of the total available seats. Out of those seats, 368 are taken by minority women, representing about 21% of the total number of female state legislators. There are 242 African American women, 32 Asian American or Pacific Islander women, 81 Latinas, and 13 Native American females. Again, progress has been made to 10% for Latina women in this group. But I say we can strive for more. There is room in the state legislatures. In her book, Bejarano addresses the new power of the political intersection between race and gender. Her evidence indicates that two factors provide the basis for advantage: increasingly qualified candidates and the softening of perceived racial threat, leading minority female candidates to encounter fewer disadvantages than their male counterparts. Bejarano brings a crucial new perspective to dialogues about the rapidly shifting face of America's electorate and its influence. And here's where unlocking the Latina factor is prime for being unleashed. Bejarano and the Nielsen research call out the growing influence of Latino consumers and the need for our country's leadership, both political and economic, to be representative of the growing influence of Hispanics. Yet despite this growing Hispanic influence, we are still celebrating the firsts. The first Latinas, pioneering and achieving in everything from industry to elected positions. I think all of us in this room were all thrilled and proud when Sonia Sotomayor became the first Latina to rise to the highest court in the land, the United States Supreme Court. A Puerto Rican raised by her widowed mother in a housing project in the Bronx, who went on to graduate with honors from Princeton and from Yale. Hilda Solis was the first Hispanic woman appointed to serve in the California State Senate and became the 25th U.S. Secretary of Labor in 2009, making her also the first Hispanic woman to serve in the United States Cabinet and the first female recipient of the John F. Kennedy's Profile and Courage Award. Anita Alvarez, right here in Illinois, state's attorney for Cook County, is the first Latina to win the Democratic nomination for state attorney of Cook County. And with us today is Iris Martinez, the first Latina to Illinois Senate, and 11 years later, still the only one. What's that all about? I think we need to get you some company. So we must hold up these firsts and really honor their accomplishments. We also need to press for the majority presencia Latina. We must press for the day when we don't talk about firsts, but rather the force that represents the Hispanic talent and voice speaks for itself. And we have some work ahead in removing those barriers. The Girl Scout Research Institute, which was founded in 2001, will soon release a report entitled State of Girls, Unfinished Business. It reveals some key and also concerning findings about Latina girls. This has not been released, but today I have been allowed to pre-disclose this audience with some of its findings. Regarding poverty, 21% of girls live in poverty in this country, and the rates are higher for African American girls at 37%, and for Hispanic or Latina girls, it's 33%. Regarding health, nearly half of Black or African American girls, 44%, and Hispanic girls, 41%, ages 5 to 17, are overweight or obese, 41% of Latinas. In education, the high school dropout rate for Latina girls is 16%. For American Indian girls, it's 14%. And that figure of 16% for Latinas is double the national average of 7% for high school dropouts. 80% of African American and Hispanic Latina girls are considered below proficient in reading by the 4th grade. And reading scores are a great indicator of high school dropout rates. 86% of African American girls and 80% of Latina girls are considered below proficient in math by the 8th grade. So these statistics run counter to the growing influence of Latina consumers. These alarming percentages are self-created barriers and help us understand what is facing our Latinas. While the statistics that from Nielsen indicate that more Latinas who graduate from high school are going on to college, Our study also reveals a 16% high school dropout rate that is way too high for Latinas. This is where our work together as communities, encouraging and mentoring our youth and our young girls can make a difference. Education, we all know, is a great liberator. We have got to get our kids graduating from high school. Interestingly, our State of Girls report also reveals one telling statistic that gives us hope about unlocking the potential for the growth of Latinas in leadership. Girls, minority girls, are telling us that they want to lead, and yes, at a rate higher than majority girls. 53% of Black or African American girls and 50% of Hispanic Latina girls want to be leaders. 50% of Hispanic girls want to lead. That's compared to 39% of all girls. That's pretty good news if we can channel that in the right direction. We'll get you some company yet. So clearly there is a desire to lead. However, there is work to be done at all levels of the pipeline so Latina girls reach their dreams of being leaders. And leadership is showing itself in the increasing number of Latina entrepreneurs also. While Latinas remain underrepresented as business owners, especially among the Fortune 500 companies, ownership among Latina entrepreneurs has grown immensely in the last 15 years. As of 2013, Latinas owned about 1 of every 10 women-owned businesses. 36% of all companies owned by minority women in the U.S. are owned by Latina women. And the revenue for Latina-owned businesses grows at 9.5% per year, which is pretty good. So it will take a village to unleash the potential of our Latinas and to unlock the Latina factor. So let me leave you with a few things that we can focus on together to ensure we unlock the potential of today's Latina girls who will grow to be the matriarchs of generations to come. They will be the future abuelitas whose influence will reverberate and will create a better world for the Latino generations to come. So let's focus on early education. Let's raise the awareness in the Hispanic communities of the importance of early education. Our Latino kids, in general, start 6 months behind their counterparts in getting early education. In Illinois, 1 of 4 children under the age of 5 is Latino. 1 in 3 babies born in Chicago has a Latino parent. Linguistically, nearly 20% of all Illinois kindergartners are English language learners, ELL. In Chicago, the number of ELLs is 36%. Secondly, we can engage parents in their children's education. This is so important. Parental influence does yield results. Even if the parent may not have a higher level of education than the child, they can contribute to motivating the child and keeping them on track, keeping them in school. Let's launch a campaign that finishing high school is an expectation. Let's drive down the dropout percentages from today's rate of 16%. Let's cut it in half. 7% is the national average. Funding. Let's ensure state and federal funds to enroll our children in early childhood programs are appropriated. Let's ensure these programs address bilingual needs and that quality teachers are engaged. Let's raise the profile of STEM fields as a source for higher wage earning jobs. Let's help our communities understand that science, technology, engineering, and math are all the areas where the jobs are going to be. We have about 8.5 million jobs that will be available in these areas in the next 10 years, and we don't have people to fill them. Let's have Hispanics fill these jobs. They pay well. I came from those jobs. Let's educate parents to the importance of after-school time. Have their kids, their girls, join the good gangs. The good gangs that will help them to engage with robotics, with software development, and learn about things in a way that complements their school experience and furthers their education. Let's involve our youth early as civic leaders. Kids want to be involved. I've seen it. Those of you who can, engage them in solving problems at their school or in their block, in their community. Take them to see government in action. Let's inspire our children, our Latinas, to be involved, voting citizens. Let's also hold up our entrepreneurs, large and small, as a source of inspiration for our kids and a point of departure to dream about possibilities. At the Girl Scouts, we start really early. Our cookie CEOs are running their own businesses as early as the age of 5. I'm sure you've seen them in your neighborhoods, and they do a great job. The kids really value work, so let's get them selling. Let's get them learning about business. You know, today, we remember President John F. Kennedy, who in his inaugural address to the nation proclaimed that the torch has been passed to a new generation of Americans. When he said those words, and when he gave his speech, Americans responded to his call by joining the newly formed Peace Corps or volunteering in America to work towards social justice. The nation was united, positive, and forward-looking. No frontier was too distant. The newest frontier was space. Today, as I look into the future, I see a new frontier for us as Hispanics, and that is unlocking the Latina factor, unlocking all of its potential, daring to go to the newest frontiers opening in the 21st century. May I please have all the Latinas in this room stand up? May I see you, please? Look at this. Look at this. Please greet the Latina factor. Thank you very much.